Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. As you all remember, on Tuesday, we were talking about business economics and also all of the topics that we are going to learn in this course, right, for the next semester. And I have already assigned you all to your own group. We have 7 groups. And I also assigned your specific topic that you have to present today. So is everyone ready? Do you all remember about this task? You do, right? Yes. I hope so. So let me just go through the groups one more time before we actually start. We have group 1 and the leader is RC. And your topic will be types of competitions. You have 5 members in your group. And then group 2 is led by Tasha. And the topic is GDP. And you also have 5 members in your group. And then in group 3, we have Quina. The topic is demand and supply. You have 4 members in your group. And then in group 4, we have Brian Putra as the leader with the topic of elasticity and also 4 members in the group. And then in group 5, we have Fiona as the leader and the topic is unemployment. And you also have 4 members in your group. And then in group 6, we have Alfito as the leader and the topic is inflation and you also have 4 members in the group. Last but not least, we have Mika doing fiscal policy with also 4 members. So before we start, since you have to share your screen and present, I hope you all have prepared something. It can be PPT, it can be Google Sheet, it can be anything that you like. I have to assign you as co-host so that you can share your screen, right? So in group 1, who's gonna be presenting? Is it gonna be the leader?
We all are gonna be presenting and then I'll be doing the screen sharing.
Okay, so I will assign you as co-host. It was RC, right?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, how about group 2? Tasha?
I'm gonna share.
You're gonna share the screen? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. I have already assigned you as co-host. How about group 3? Quina, I saw Quina left just now, left the room. What happened? Do we have Quina here? Quina.
She just joined again, I think.
Oh, maybe connection problem. Maybe the members of the group, I don't know who, but you should know if you're in group 3 with Quina as your leader. Do you have any of the members here?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi Quina. So who's going to be screen sharing from your group?
Me, Quina.
Okay, hold on. Let me assign you as co-host.
I'm gonna be the one who present the.
Okay. Daryl, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then group 5? Fiona?
Yes, miss.
Will you be presenting? Will you be sharing the screen?
There is consumer sovereignty and efficient production with no possibility of exploitation. Number 8, demand is perfectly elastic. Number 9, abnormal profit can be earned in a short run.
So I will be explaining the graph. As we can, this is 2 out of the 3 graphs that a perfect competition has. The first one is the one on the left is when the firm earns abnormal profit. We can notice because the demand curve is above the average total cost curve, and when you are earning above your costs, then it means you are earning abnormal profit. And then the second graph, the one on the right, is when the firm earns normal profit. It is when the demand curve is right on the lowest point of the average total cost curve. And the last graph of perfect competition is when the firm is making losses. It is when the demand curve is way below the average total cost curve.
So the next one is monopoly. Monopoly market is where a single firm controls the output of the entire industry. The characteristics of a monopoly market is that there's only one seller. It's a price taker. There's a high barrier to entry. Barrier to entry is a range of obstacles that prevent new firms from entering a market, and there's no substitute product.
Again, we're back to the graphs of monopoly. Monopoly also has 3 graphs. These 2 are for the profit maximization and loss minimization. We can draw this by locating where the marginal revenue intersects the marginal cost curve, and then also it will also hit the demand curve. So the difference between the 2 graphs is where the average total cost curve is. If the total cost is below the demand curve, then they should be making profits. But if the average total cost curve is above the demand curve, then they are making losses. As for this one, this is the revenue maximization one. It is different from profit maximization because, as we know, profit and revenue are 2 different things. We find out the revenue maximization by knowing where the marginal revenue curve intersects with zero, the x-axis.
Okay, so the next one is oligopoly. So what is oligopoly? Oligopoly is a market form where a market or industry is dominated by a small group of large sellers. So this is the characteristics, as you can see there. The first one is the market is dominated by a few firms, and then their decisions are interdependent, and then there are high or substantial barriers to entry. And then the fourth one is the products may be differentiated or undifferentiated. And then the last one is the uncertainty and risk associated with price competition may lead to price rigidity. Next, please.
This is the king demand curve we use to explain oligopoly, but this one can only be used when there is no collusion. So the theory behind this is that since oligopoly are not price takers, they can set the price anywhere, but as they reach a certain price, their price elasticity change, and thus the marginal revenue will also change if the demand makes a sudden drop.
Okay, so the last one is monopolistic competition. It is a form of imperfect competition, which is a common market structure in the real world market. It's almost similar to the perfect competition due to the large numbers of buyers and sellers. However, the products are differentiated. Some of the examples of monopolistic competition are fast food shops, hotels and bars, and hairdressing salons. As I said before, the characteristic of monopolistic competitions, they have large number of buyers and sellers, and the products are differentiated. Next, it also has an easy entry, which means it has few barriers to entry. Each firm has a slight difference in terms of products. Therefore, they are called mini monopoly, the one who produces that specific product and the one who controls its brand through quality and the physical difference. Each firm has an impact on the market price. Therefore, they are price maker. Next, the PED is relatively elastic. They can make abnormal profit in the short run, however, normal profit in the long run.
For monopolistic competition, we have 2 graphs. The first one is the one on the left is when they earn abnormal profit. Again, this is when the demand curve is above the average total cost curve. And the one on the right is when they are making normal profit. It is when the demand curve touches the average total cost curve. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you everyone for listening and paying attention. And these are our resources in case you guys maybe want to see it for yourselves and study more from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really, really good, unexpectedly good, because most of the time the students will avoid graphs, but you all actually put up the graph for each of the competition. Wow. That's really great. Just one question before. Did you draw the graph or was it taken from a source?
I drew it, Miss.
You drew it, right? I could see that you drew it, which was amazing. That's
Thank
really
you.
great effort. Wow, amazing. What's your name again?
Me,
Yes,
Annabelle.
Annabelle. Oh, okay. Cool, cool. Very good, very good.
Thank you, Miss.
Before you're welcome. Before I ask my questions, is there any question from the floor? No, no questions. You know what happens when there's no question. It means I'm the one who's gonna have to ask question. Should I pick someone again? Let's pick someone. Oh, Amir, why are you here?
They asked him to join, Miss.
For?
Because he didn't join the orientation last time.
Last year?
Yeah, so they asked him to join. Yeah.
I see. How are you, Amir?
I'm good, Miss. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you now?
I'm in Jakarta.
You're in Jakarta? Oh, okay. That's good. Good to see you.
You too, Miss.
That was unexpected. Let me call ASN. Okay, again, since I don't know why, but I can see the participants list, I'm going to unmute you. If you see the, yes, you, exactly. You see the notification, then you know it's you. Hi. Hi.
Yes, hi, Miss.
Oh, did I unmute you?
Yes.
I was unmuting the person beside you, though. And I can see
Yes.
nose too. Hold on. Okay, never mind. Nathanael. Nathanael?
Yes.
Okay, so how was the presentation?
It's very nice though.
It's very nice.
Yes.
What did you learn?
What?
What did you learn?
About the oligopoly market, the monopoly,
Mm-hmm.
and
Two more.
About competition.
There are four. Can you at least repeat what are the four?
The balance one, I think.
Which one is the balanced one? You mentioned oligopoly and then monopoly. You only have two left. What are the two?
Perfect competition.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. And last one?
Monopolistic.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So which one has the least player in the industry?
Could you repeat it?
Which one has the least player?
It's monopoly.
Monopoly, because there's only how many?
Because there's only one.
Only one. Exactly. Thank you very much. Let me go back to the group. You all did very well. I just have one very, very simple question. What is the difference between revenue and profit? That is the simplest question, but you will be surprised. I asked this to some of the new students last time. Some people didn't know. So anyone from the group? From the presenting group? No, I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you, Annabelle. I want someone else from the group. Who else is in the group again just now? We have RC and we have who else?
Me, Annabelle.
Yes.
Me, yeah, me. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not really sure about the answer, but I think the profit is the the how shall I say this? The profit is the benefit, like the finance benefit that we gain from the business, but the revenue is our income. Is it? I'm not sure, Miss.
Are you saying that the profit is not? Did you say financial benefits?
No, that one is the profit, like the thing that we gain from our sales. Yeah.
The thing that you, so your sales is your, what is your sales? Sales is another word for what?
Money. I don't know,
Sales,
Miss.
sales is another word for revenue. Revenue is
Revenue.
sales. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So this is the simplest basic concept that you need to know. Revenue is basically sales, which means that's the money that you get from your customers. So for example, if I'm selling a cookie for 5,000 rupiah and today I sold 20 of them, how much is my revenue? The price of one cookie is 5,000. I sold it for 20,000. I sold it for 20 pieces. I sold 20 pieces today. So how much is my revenue?
Can you repeat, Miss?
I sold 20 cookies today.
Mm-hmm.
One cookie, the price is 5,000 rupiah. So how much is my revenue today?
100,000.
100.
Exactly. But that's not my profit. Why? Because profit means that you have to cut your cost.
Laba kotor.
No, profit is actually laba bersih. That's your profit.
Iya, maksudnya.
Yes, exactly. So you mean, for example, that for me to make a cookie, it costs 3,000 rupiah. So how much profit did I gain today? My cost to make one cookie is 3,000 rupiah. How much profit did I make today?
2,000.
2,000 times 20, because
2,000.
I sold 20, right?
Yeah.
So 40,000. That's my profit for today, which actually is not the real profit, because then after a month you have to cut with your operating expenses such as salary, and then you also have, for example, rent if you rent the place, and still so many other things, and then tax as well. So a whole other thing. But basically profit and revenue is not the same, exactly what Annabelle said, but you need to know why is it not the same. Revenue is basically sales, all the money that you get from your customer, but profit is after you have cut all of your costs. Okay, very basic understanding. I mean, you are in international business. This is like basic of business, right? So good. Who would you choose to be presenting next? RC.
Group 4.
Group 4, okay. Brian, but I don't think Brian is the one sharing the screen. Who was it before?
Me.
Okay, there it is. Go ahead.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, nice. You know why? Because now you're talking about elasticity. And they also talk about elasticity before. So we have connection. Go ahead.
Can you see it, Miss?
Yes, I can see. Yep. Okay.
So good morning, everyone. So today I will be presenting to you elasticity and its application. So the meaning of elasticity is a measuring on how consumer and distributor respond to the market condition changes, and it's allowing us to analyze supplies and demand in a better precision. So elastic versus inelastic. So both elastic and Inelastic is an economic concept used to describe the changes of buyers and sellers' behavior towards the change of prices. Elastic refers to changes in demand or supply that can occur with the slightest price change, and inelastic is when the demand or supply does not change even when prices change. So this one is perfect elastic demand. A demand is considered to be perfectly elastic when a small rise in price would be resulting a fall in demand to zero, while a small fall in price would result in demand to become infinite. It is also known as infinite elasticity because it is a theoretical concept and it's only a theory, so no importance in the practical world. So perfect inelastic demand is when a demand doesn't change in price, whether it increases or decreases. Then the demand is said to be perfectly inelastic. It implies that the demand remains constant for any value of the price. So there are no real life there's no real life example for this this perfectly inelastic demand. And then relatively elastic demand. So it means that relatively small changes in price cause relatively large changes in quality. In other words, quantity is very responsive to price. More specifically, the percentage change in quantity is greater than the percentage change in price. So, for example, for this elastic demand is fashion, fashion clothing, and other non-essential products. So this one is relatively inelastic demand. As you can see, when the price go up, the quantity demanded is not changed really drastically. So relatively inelastic means that the relatively large changes in price cause relatively small changes in quantity. In other words, quantity is not very responsive to price. More specifically, the percentage change in quantity is less than the percentage change in price. So, for example, for the product example for this inelastic demand is essential goods like electricity, gas, and water. So this one is unitary elastic demand. The demand could be said as unitary elastic when the percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to the percentage change in price. This is also known as unitary elasticity. It is an imaginary concept as rarely found in the practical world. For example, when the price of a commodity is 60,000 rupiah and the quantity demanded is 200 units, as if the price increases to 80,000 rupiah, the demand dropped to 160 units. It implies the unitary elastic demand. So how to count the elasticity of demand formula? So how to count the price elasticity of demand is the percentage of change in the quantity demanded divided by percentage change in the price. For price elasticity of supply is the percentage change in the quantity supplied over the percentage change in the price. Yeah, that's it, Miss.
Thank you very much, Daryl. That was really good as well. I am quite quite surprised and gladly surprised that everyone is doing well with the graphs, because it's good that you're not afraid of the graphs and you actually put it in your presentation. So appreciate that very much. Very good. Again, as just like before I ask my question, do we have any questions from the floor? Oh, someone actually asked questions, so I don't have to ask. Thank you. Kyla. Can you unmute yourself, Kyla or Kila?
It's Kila.
Oh, Kila. Okay,
Yeah.
Kila, you can ask your question directly to the group.
Yeah, well, I have a question. So would water or electricity or other utilities be considered as a perfect inelastic demand?
And I don't want Daryl to answer. I want the other group members to answer. Who's in the group? Daryl, you haven't introduced the members.
So there are two Bryans and
Brian
Jason.
and Jason. Okay. Should I ask the other Brian, who's not the leader? Brian who?
I forgot Brian.
He's your friend, Daryl. How could you forget?
So there are two Brian.
Brian Putra and Brian who?
Brian Hansaya.
That's
Brian
also me.
That's Brian Hansana Putra or something
Saya.
like that. Hansaya Putra. That's the same person. The other Brian.
Oh, the other Brian. Wait. Brian Nicholas.
Brian Nicholas. You here? Hi. Brian Nicholas is not here? Is someone here? You're here?
I don't know. I don't think he is.
Is someone taking attendance? FL, you're taking attendance, right?
Yes,
Abby?
miss.
Yes. Who was it? Group? Okay.
Yes.
Then Brian Putra as the leader. Please do your honor.
Okay. So, what is the question again? So, electricity be considered as perfect elastic demand? Yes, because it doesn't have any closed substances. It is the same as petrol and salt. Petrol is gas. Yeah. So it's considered to be inelastic because it is only like one monopoly power.
Okay. You said that it is inelastic, but is it perfectly inelastic?
I don't think it is perfectly inelastic though. It's only an inelastic.
It's only inelastic, but it's not perfectly inelastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Who asked the question again? Sorry, who was it? Kila, right?
Yes.
Kila, do you have any response to that?
So there would be no example for any perfectly inelastic demand?
I think the presenter can answer. Daryl can answer.
So in real life, it's very rare to find perfectly inelastic because even the most essential products such as electricity, if it's too expensive, there must be an alternative for that. Because in perfectly inelastic, the supplier can increase the price however they want. I think that's the answer.
Kila, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yeah, that's all, miss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice, very good. This is actually quite a difficult topic, elasticity. Later, when you actually take the subject, you will know how difficult it is, but at least you understand the basic idea of having an inelastic and elastic demand. So very good basic. Thank you very much, group 4. So Next, which group would you like to present? Would you choose to present?
Group 5.
Group 5. Okay, we have Fiona
Yeah.
with unemployment.
Fiona's having some problems right now. If you're all right with it, could you wait for her to log back on?
Okay. Then, Brian, can you choose another group first?
Group 6.
Group 6, Alfito with inflation.
Okay, Dustin.
Okay, go ahead. So we are done with
Dustin,
group
itu
1.
Miss.
Sorry?
Dustin, the one who shared the screen.
Yeah, she was saying
Oh,
something
Dustin.
else.
Okay. Sorry, we are done with group 1, group 3, group 4.
Dustin,
That's it, right? We're only done with 3 groups.
Dustin.
Okay, we gotta move faster then. Dustin has started screen sharing, but it's still loading. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, guys. Today we're gonna presentate about inflation. So, first of all, I want to introduce my team. I'm Alvito. There is Justin and Dustin and Valeska. Okay, so to next. Justin. Okay, so here's our the table of content. The first one is what is inflation, the definition of inflation and what it indicates. The second one is 2 general causes of inflation. What is cost push inflation? What is demand pull inflation? And the third one is the conclusion.
I think Dustin is lagging.
Oh, just give me a moment.
Yeah, his screen is frozen.
Okay.
Okay. Is it there?
Okay. So the definition of inflation is the rise in prices of most goods and services such as food, clothing, recreation, transportation, and housing. What indicates inflation is the decrease in purchasing power in country's currency.
Does someone else have the PPT as well, or only Dustin has the PPT?
Yeah, we have. I do.
Maybe we can switch.
So these are the types of inflation. The first one is cost push inflation. The second one is demand pull inflation, and the third one is built-in inflation. Yeah. So here it is 2 general causes of inflation.
So the first one is cost push inflation, which can be seen from this graph, where the x-axis is real GDP, and the y-axis is price, while SRAS 1 and 2 are aggregate supply, and AD is aggregate demand. As you can see, the aggregate supply shifts to the left, which means that the supply is decreasing, mostly due to the increased production costs, which can be, usually wages or raw materials. And as you can see, aggregate demand remains the same, and as a result, the price increases. Examples of cost push inflation would be when a natural disasters happen. Crops usually get destroyed, and because of that, there's a decrease in the amount of raw materials available, in other words, crops. And as a result of that, the price increases. And the second example would be wage push inflation, where companies increase the wages of their employees, which means that the production costs also increase because wages are big in production costs. And there are many reasons why they might increase the wages. Some of them are because of the increase in minimum wage, or to give the employees incentive to work harder, attract more capable employees if the industry is doing well, or the increase in living costs, which is built-in inflation, which is
basically a spiral of inflation.
And there's the demand pull inflation. It's the exact opposite of the cost push inflation, to be honest. It's a situation where the aggregate demand line moves to the right. The demand increased suddenly, and that makes the price rise abnormally. So here we have listed two graphs. One is classical and one is Keynesian. I don't know if we are supposed to learn this now, but I'll explain it anyway. The classical is where you have the optimal inflation, where the output increase, and which in turn made the price increase as well. But in the Keynesian, they considered the capacity of the output itself, which, for example, if you have been selling something but the factory itself cannot produce anymore, and the demand increased, that made the product itself more scarce when more people wants it, and it's creates a similar situation where an auction appears, where people be more willing to pay the price, higher price than the price from the original product. Next slide, please. And there's the three common causes for the demand to go up, but it's already been explained by the group. Which group is it again? That explained the supply and demand, but I'll explain it one more time anyway. So the first one, there's the sudden trend of product, where the demand suddenly goes up because people grew more interested in it, or people are required to buy it. And then there's the more money and more spending one, where people mostly get more money by wages in other sectors, not in ours. Not our employee wages, our consumer wages to be exact. And there's the the government policies, which can affect interest rates, anything that have to do with money, I guess, that increase their disposable income. Next slide, please. And yeah, there's one of the easiest example that I can list. It's you guys remember, right, when the pandemic starts, and there's the sudden rise of price with medical supplies like vitamins, hand sanitizer, masks. Yeah, that's what exactly I'm saying when there's a forced trending. Yeah. Is Devin here? Still yours, Justin.
Justin?
This is
Belum ada.
This is the. Oh, wait a minute. No. This is the demand for cost as an example, right? This is what Justin just said just now.
What?
Just skip it.
So, okay.
Let's skip to the next. Conclusion that we came about to for the causes of inflation. The first one is the increase in money. People had more money, or the country suddenly printed more money, and the supply of goods going down. Suddenly, medical supplies being scarce, like face masks in the beginning of Corona, and demand of money is going down because money is less valuable. So people don't really need money; they need more. They need other assets. And the fourth is demand for goods and services going up, such as the examples that they've said just now. So cost push depends on production costs, while demand pull relies on consumer ability and desire to spend the demand itself. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm very happy that you know, almost every group, I think every group, not almost, every group actually use some graphs to explain, so you all have an idea that, you know, this course is going to involve a lot of graphs, and it's good that none of the groups are afraid to use them. So very good, nice, I like it. So as usual, since we also don't have that much time, is there any question from the floor, so I don't have to ask my question? Oh, someone actually do. You can unmute yourself, Azumardia. Yes, and then you can ask the question directly to the group members.
Okay. How else can government policies increase demand?
Anyone from the group?
I mean, besides the coronavirus.
Oh yeah. So if there's any, I think if there's any riot or any like coup d'etat, I think it's the government policies. Government policies will increase the demand. I think so.
Sorry, can you repeat that again one more time? I think I hear noises from the back, so I couldn't really hear.
My answer?
Yes, your answer.
Oh, I think if there's any riot or kekacauan apa sih? Coup d'etat gitu, then I think that the government policies will increase the demand of something. I think so.
Can you be more exact? Can you be more specific?
Like if there's any riot, so the demand of food or clothing, it's become more valuable, I think. Yeah.
But my question is a riot a policy from the government?
Oh yeah.
Because a riot is, the government doesn't want that, I'm sure.
It can also be like for mine, it was the government increases minimum wage, so that the companies would have to increase the wages of their employees. So then, since their wages go up, their demand also goes up. Yeah.
How is that? Do you have any response to that? Just now. Who was asking? What was your name? Sorry. Ardi.
Azumardi.
Azumardi, yes, Azumardi. So, any response to that?
Yeah, I like that answer.
Okay, so satisfied with the answer?
That's good.
Yes. All good, good. Okay, now we have a question from our freshman leader.
Hi,
Abby.
so I want to ask, so one of you mentioned that inflation was a fall, I think, in purchasing power. What is purchasing power? I feel like a lot of people probably don't know what that means. So can you explain to me what it means?
It's basically how much one unit of the country's currency can purchase. Yeah.
Can you give like Abby?
Yeah, what? Nggak jadi, Miss.
Okay, very good. But does everyone else understand what she meant by that? Let me choose someone. Let me choose the other group member. Who's in the group again? Sorry, Dustin, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Dustin, can you re-explain what is purchasing power? Justin.
Oh, me.
Yes.
I think personally, purchasing power is the willingness to buy something, the money that you can expend to buy something, excluding the cost to live.
Cost of living.
Excluding that, yeah.
Excluding cost
It's
of
like the disposable income. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, sure. Dustin, you want to answer in the chat? No, never mind. Why? Because Justin already explained it well. Okay, very good. We don't have much time, so let's move on. Which group, other group do you want to choose? Alfito? Let's
No,
go
I
back to
think
group.
no, I think that's enough. I think that's enough.
Okay, let's go back to group 5 because just now Fiona was having trouble. Is she still having trouble now?
No, miss.
No? Okay, go ahead, Fiona. You can start sharing, screen sharing.
Oh, I'm not host anymore, miss. Can you?
Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. Okay, you are now. Go ahead.
Okay, so everyone can see me and hear me? Yes? Okay. Oh, wait, sorry. All right, so good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing unemployment. I'm Fiona. My teammates are Fabian, Kila, and Melissa. So I'll pass this on to Fabian.
All right, so unemployment refers to a state where a person who is able to work but unable to find a job for whatever reason. Usually this is a macroeconomics concept, and there is a formula to calculate the health of the economy, how much people there are in an economy that don't have a job. So basically they're like latent power, and that's to be used like effectively, and then that's calculated by the unemployment rate. Unemployment rate, as seen in the slide, is calculated by unemployed people over labor force times 100, and that equals to a certain percentage number, and that will be your unemployment rate. Next slide, please. Today we're going to talk about 3 different types of employment: frictional, structural, and cyclical. Next slide. The first type of unemployment that we're going to discuss today is frictional, which is unemployment resulting from employment transitions in an economy. An example of this would be a worker who has just quit a job and is trying to find another job. Keep in mind that this only would result in unemployment if the worker did not transition immediately to another job, and if they had quit first and didn't have any job in the interim period. Apart from that is people being terminated from their position, so people being fired and therefore they're being left unemployed. Personal reasons such as pregnancy and sickness. And fresh graduates in search of a job, like how we'll be after we graduate from university. The solution, which is mostly interventionist policies by the government, and they would be more information on job vacancies, because some people may just miss out on job opportunities because they are unaware of such openings, and lowering unemployment benefits, because people would find being unemployed to be less appealing if they didn't have as much benefits. Therefore, keeping them, well, giving them a drive to actually find employment instead of staying unemployed.
Okay, so now I'm going to be discussing structural unemployment. So structural unemployment is a form of unemployment that occurs due to structural changes in production, or when a company needs to adjust themselves in order to remain competitive. In this case, there's a lack of compatibility between the skills of the unemployed and the skills that are required for the available jobs. This is commonly occurring due to technological advancements. So this is just a case of a mismatch between supply and demand. An example of this is how cashiers have been slowly, they're being phased out in favor of transaction machines, because machines don't need to be trained and they don't have work schedules and they're more easily controlled. So that creates competitive advantage and cut costs and whatnot for the company. Another example is how the USA outsources manufacturing jobs to developing nations. They take advantage of lower costs of labor, and outsourcing their jobs also allows for easier globalization of the company because it's easier to distribute and other benefits. So these are all examples of structural unemployment. Solutions for structural unemployment are first, education and training to increase the qualifications and skills of the unemployed to enter other industries. And two, government subsidies, which can help support people who are unemployed and relocate them to areas that are like not depressed. And they can also give incentive for firms to create job opportunities for the unemployed. And also, as Fabian said before, lowering benefits for the unemployed can also help motivate the unemployed to increase their skill sets and find a job elsewhere.
Yes, and this slide I will be explaining about cyclical unemployment. So it's a type of unemployment that happens as a result of a business cycle in the economy, such as recession, where businesses tend to lay off workers to cut costs because the demand for goods and services has fallen, which would result their sales to be dropping. And the examples of cyclical unemployment are seasonal unemployment, where people are unemployed at a certain times of the year, or and when the demand for labor is lower than usual. And this type of unemployment may drop when there's an increase in gross domestic product. And another solution to the cyclical unemployment is by having the government to step in by lowering the interest rates, which makes loans and credit card payment cheaper, which in return, it would encourage people to spend more. Therefore, it could help boost the market confidence and get the aggregate demand to rise up back to normal. And yeah, next slide.
The economic impact of unemployment results on the loss of productive resources, which affects economic growth and standard of living. Prolonged unemployment leads to loss or deterioration of skills. There will be less spending and output, which leads to a lower GDP. And high unemployment rates indicate inefficiency. The economy is not operating optimally with lower output and incomes. These are the citations that we use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was also very good. I'm quite impressed with all of the groups. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. So in order to give enough time to the other two presenting groups who still have to present, let's take questions at the end of everything. So if you do have questions for this group, just take note first, and then we can ask questions at the end. So let's move on to the next group right away because of the time. Do you want to choose group 2 or group 7?
Group 7.
Group 7. Okay. Mika.
Miss Raisa will share the screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I already assigned Raisa as the co-host, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. Go ahead.
Hello everybody. We're gonna talk about fiscal policy, and then next slide. Raisa. There are 4 of us. I'm as a group leader, and there's Gaya, Eric, and Raisa. So for introduction, the definition of fiscal policy is fiscal policy refers to the use of government spending and tax policies to influence economic conditions, macroeconomic conditions, including aggregate demand for goods and services, employment, inflation, and economic growth. The goal is to achieve or maintain full employment, to achieve or maintain a high rate of economic growth, and to stabilize price and wages, and also have 3 purposes. It's economic growth, economic stability and lowering unemployment rate.
So fiscal policy has two types, which is expansionary fiscal policy and contrary fiscal policy. First of all, expansionary fiscal policy is when the government expand the money supply in the economy using budgetary tools to increase spending or cut taxes, which provide consumers and business with more money to spend. And then the second one, contrary fiscal policy, is this type of policy is undertaken to pay down government debt and to cap inflation. In this case, government spending is lower than tax revenue. Next.
In what situation government do expansionary policy? From a fiscal policy perspective, the government enact expansionary policies through budgeting tools that provide people with more money, increasing spending and cutting taxes to produce budget deficit means that the government is putting more money into the economy than it is taking out. Expansionary fiscal policy includes tax cuts, transfer payments, and rebates. Example of expansionary policy is American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. This effort was taken on in the midst of the Great Recession and total $831 billion USA. Most of this spending targeted infrastructure, education, and extension of unemployment benefits.
In what situations do the government apply contrary fiscal policy? First is for business and consumers to spend, just like using the amount of money available. Shrinking the money supply decreases demand. It gives consumer less purchasing power. That reduces business profit, forcing companies to cut employment. Third is when government cuts spending or increase taxes. When the government cuts subsidies, transfer payments, including welfare programs, contracts for public works, or the number of government employees. Example of contrary policy, on 1998, inflation happened in Indonesia at Suharto regimes. Government reduced state workers' salary to prevent inflation and the rise of primary goods.
So the conclusion is expansionary policy is applied and the government want to increase spending or to prevent deflation, while contrary is applied if the government wants to decrease spending and to prevent inflation. And I'm sorry if I didn't give the credit to the internet because I forgot to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm still quite impressed with all the groups. And again, since we don't have that much time, please do take note on your questions if you do have some for this group. And let's go to the last group before we open up Q&A for the last three groups. So Tasha?
Oh. Wait, I can share this screen.
You cannot? I think I already assigned. Hold on.
I was having trouble with the connection, so
you log out, right?
Yeah. So today I'm gonna introduce my group. Me, Aizumardi, Benny, Azra, and I don't know what else. So GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, is the monetary or market value of all the finished goods and service produced within a country borders in a specific time period. As a broad measure of overall domestic product, it functions as comprehensive scorecard of the country economic health.
There are two types of GDP value. One of them is expenditure approach, and that's the measuring GDP by the output or the expenditure, like how much consumers, investors, government spending, net exports spend. This method measures what our economy produces by the finished goods and services that a country spends. So it's like it's output, basically the output value.
Calculating the expenditure approach. The formula of the GDP equals to gross private consumption expenditure, or C, plus gross private investment, or 1, plus government purchases, G, plus exports minus imports, which is net imports and net exports.
The second approach is the income approach. It's basically the reverse and looking at the expenditure approach from the other side. Basically, the amount of total income generated should equal the same amount of expenditure. And the income comes in all sorts of forms. Next slide, please. So the income comes in all sorts of forms. You can have income from your businesses. You can have income because of your compensation of employment, basically your wages, from your rent, or if you have a business and all the profits go to you instantly, that can be also a form of income. But then you also have to include indirect business taxes, and you also have to decrease by subsidies. But then for the final one, you have to add the depreciation value of fixed assets, meaning when assets are used in the production process, their value decreases over time, and they, for them to be sold, for example, in the future, their value will always be reduced. Next slide. This is basically the cycle to show how the two are actually pretty similar. Next slide. Because theoretically, the two approaches should yield the same result. And the only difference between them is that they look at they look at GDP from a different point of view. Although in most analysis, the results are actually different, because expenditure looks from these resources and income looks from another source. And basically those two sources always have a difference, especially income in relation to depreciation, because that value is sort of hard to predict, and it's usually what makes expenditure and income approach different when people are calculating. Next.
So Ms. Bryna was right. We should have added graphs, but we didn't think of that. It would have helped sort of showing how it works better. There are two types of growth that you can measure for GDP: nominal and real. Nominal is calculating the GDP growth with prices and the growth, while real GDP only covers growth. So it measures an economy's total goods and services in a given year, taking account changes in price level. So calculating GDP and calculating real GDP and nominal GDP, you can see the differences in calculating right there at the bottom. Next slide, please. But basically, to sum it up, nominal GDP is the current monetary value of a country, and real would the value taken account with the effects of inflation. Nominal presents the headline monetary figure, while real provides a guide to the purchasing power. So if you look at the graph, which I didn't put, they're almost the same, but it's for like governments to sort of look at the details in a country's growth. Thank you guys for your attention.
Thank you very much. We only have 4 minutes left. That's why I wanted to just compile everything at the end. I think it was great as well, but just one very, very small mistake. Someone said that investment was represented by 1. Can you go back to that formula?
Oh yeah,
it
is supposed to be I know.
Exactly. It's supposed to be I. Small mistake, but you know, quite important.
Which one?
Go back again. Formula, back again. The expenditure approach. This one, stop. Yes, gross private investment is I, and it's not 1. See, the others are all in letters. It will be very weird if suddenly investment is represented by 1. It's I. Okay, CGI plus E. Plus X minus M. Thank you very much. Okay, is there any question from the floor? We have 3 minutes, and I just asked Abby that you don't have any other schedule after this, so maybe we can spend at least like 5 extra minutes with me. If you have any questions, is there anyone who has any question to any of the groups, the last 3 groups that presented about GDP, fiscal policy, and inflation, I think?
There's a question from Daryl.
Yes, there's a question from Daryl. Can someone from the group answer?
I'm not sure what GDP PPP is.
PPP is purchasing power parity,
Oh,
right, Daryl?
okay.
Yes.
As power. To be honest, I'm not really sure because I didn't read up on that about purchasing power, but I do know that real GDP, it provides a guide to realizing the actual purchasing power of a country. So I don't know if it's exactly the same, but they're connected. Does that answer your question?
Daryl?
Yeah, miss.
So, did that answer your question? Daryl?
Yes.
He said okay in the chat.
Oh, he said okay in the chat? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. How about the other members of the group or the floor? Do you have any other explanation to that? Because as Jumardi didn't exactly answer the question, so is there anyone who actually has the answer to the question from the floor, meaning everyone? Doesn't have to be from group 7. Sorry, from group 2. No one? No one? That should be homework then, even though I'm not gonna be seeing you again for this. But that is a very good question. Is it the same? Well, if you all know what is purchasing power parity, do you even know what is the meaning of the purchasing power parity? I think you all know what is purchasing power because we explained that before, right? And parity is like equality. So it's like normally they will represent it with a Big Mac. They have a Big Mac rule. So if a $1, if you can buy a Big Mac in the US for $1, and then you go and come to Indonesia, how much does a Big Mac cost? And is it the same as $1 or not? If it's not the same, it means that there is a differences in the purchasing power, because with the same value of money, you cannot buy the same thing. Okay, since we don't have a lot of time, you go read up on this Big Mac thing. I'm pretty sure it's all over the internet. You have, it will be easier for you to understand this concept. Which sector contributes the most to Indonesia's economy? From DAFA. Anyone can answer that. Which sector? Interesting. Since group, yeah, go ahead, Azumardi.
I think agriculture.
Sorry?
Export. Agriculture and export.
Agriculture. Let me actually search it up.
I think it's the cigarette making company, like what do you say it? Jarum.
Yeah, but that's not exactly a sector. Normally a sector is more like agriculture, industrial, or service sector. And I've got the answer here that it's actually the industrial sector. is the sector that currently contributes most to Indonesia's annual GDP growth? So industrial is the answer to that. Export-import is also not a sector. Sector is the one that I told you just now. We have agriculture, we have industry, and we have service sector. Those are the three. Yep. Good, good, good. Very nice, everyone. I guess since we have passed the time, that's it from me. I think that all of you did a really, really good job. I guess this new coming batch is gonna be really good because it was totally unexpected that you all presented very well in terms of your PPT. I was quite impressed. Everyone did well. No one actually had PPT with, you know, long lines and you basically just read out from the slides. Well, some of you did read out from the slides, but all of your PPT were very, very nice, very concise. And the way you present also, most of you have already basically, you know, not just read out from the slides, because I hate that kind of presentation the most. You're not supposed to read out from the slides. The slides is just a pointer. So you are supposed to, you know, explain according to the slides, but not read from the slides. And most of you did that. Very good. Most of you put in graphs, also very good. I really like that. And most of you also put in references, which is also very good. Although some of you only list out the link, which is of course not acceptable if you are doing your thesis. You will learn later on how do you actually properly do references. You know, you have the Harvard referencing style, you have a lot of different kinds of style, but most of the time, of course, you cannot just put out the links, right? But it's okay, because it's still a very, very, I mean, you are a freshman, so it's very expected. So it was really good. I really appreciate everyone's efforts. I think you also divided the group quite well. I mean, the work among the group very well. So from this course, crash course, you actually learn a lot. You learn about team, how to divide the work, you learn how to present, and in one meeting, or yeah, two in a way, one meeting, 100 minutes, you learn 7 different concepts of economics. So amazing. I think everyone did really great. I hope you don't have any problem with business economics in the coming semester, which you will have starting from next week. So I won't be teaching the subject. You will meet other lecturers which are very professional and very knowledgeable about this. So I wish you all the best. I'll see you in other subjects next month, not next week, unfortunately, because I have my leave. And I will see you tomorrow as well, because you have a session with the BIPS heads, with the BIPS, you know BIPS, right? BIBS. BINUS International Business Society. I think you already had a session with them. Well, I am actually the lecturer in charge of BIPS as well, which is the student organization for IB. So I will see you tomorrow with the BIPS heads, and we will have a lot of fun. You will be talking to the seniors and also to the alumni. So you will have a lot of more like a casual talk with them. It would be great. So that's it. Any other comment, question, or whatever that you want to say before we leave? No?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, then I will give it back to Abby. Abby?
Okay. All right. So that's a wrap for today. Thank you, Ms. Bryna, and thank you everyone for your participation. It was really, really amazing to see how good you guys are. If any of you guys struggle with this subject, there are going to be mentors actually from the upper class, your kakak kelas. So if you guys struggle, you can ask student services for a mentor, and I'm pretty sure they will teach you and help you for free. So that's all. Thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow. In the morning, we will actually be having inauguration. Do any of you guys know what inauguration is? I don't know if they...
Minggu lalu bukan inauguration. Last week didn't we have an inauguration?
No, itu so inauguration is like the big event for all BINUS can like maybe Kendra, Kenzie, or you guys can explain better gimana ya. Kayak
Apaan?
inauguration.
Basically, it's like to celebrate your guys' orientation lah.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, kayak it's like that you're finished with orientation and you guys are officially BINUS students.
Kayak kelas party gitu lah.
Ya kayak class party. Harusnya usually you guys, we would all from all BINUS campus, you would gather in BINUS Alam Sutra, and they would have like a huge event with all the rectors and everyone, and you put on your alma mater, you know, your BINUS jacket. But since of course we cannot do that this year, yes, like an official acceptance party, but you know, because of the Rona, so we're gonna have it live stream on BINUS TV, and a few of you guys will be specially selected to attend the official Zoom, I think Zoom conference, or yeah, so a few of you guys will be selected to join the virtual meeting of the official
What time will it be?
inauguration. So it will be at is it 8 a.m.? Gua lupa, tunggu.
8 or 9 lah.
Yeah, 8 or 9 gitu lah. Jadi we are going to update you
Okay.
guys in the line group, so please open the line group. Will we be given the jacket? Ini gua nggak tahu. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are supposed to get the jacket. We'll ask about that. We'll see if you guys will get the jacket, maybe sent to your houses or something. So yeah, that's about all. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. You can leave the Zoom meeting now. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.